Moshe David Valley, the author of Ohr Olam, discusses this, and he discusses this at length in the previous section. But now, let's go in and see his unique historical interpretation of Esachicha Tavid. And he says, Yitzchak was saying much more than what meets the eye. We read it, you'll serve your brother, okay? You'll work for your brother, you'll assist your brother, you'll help your brother. He says Yitzchak was talking about an extraordinary phenomenon in history that will change history completely. What is that? These three words are a prophetic vision of the future of how history is going to develop. The Edomim, Esav was called Edom, and his descendants were known as the nation of Edom. According to Chazal, Edom is the father of Rome, what would later become the Roman Empire. Why is our calendar so much ahead? And of course the answer is the year 0 is officially the year of the birth of this person. The birth of Yossi, Ish, of Yashka, officially is the year 0. Whether it's accurate or not accurate is a separate story. But that's when their calendar begins. Called BCE, CE. The Beis HaMikdash is destroyed just 70 years after that. So this is close to the end of the era of the second Beis HaMikdash. Now, initially Rome did not accept Christianity. On the contrary, it was Rome that killed him. And it was Rome that persecuted the Christians and crucified them and tortured them. But then came Constantine, the Roman emperor, who basically embraced the religion of Christianity, and then it became the official Roman policy, and that's how it spread so powerfully over the world, because initially they were hunted down. But once Constantine accepted it, then Christianity became the European religion and ultimately ruled over Europe. Of course, the Roman Empire went into decline, and history moves on, but that religion was very powerful. It became the dominant religion, and this is even before Islam existed. Islam would only emerge in the 7th century through Muhammad in Medina. So he says, L'besaif, as history develops, when they decided it's time for a new God, and it's time for a monotheistic God, it's time to discover somewhat of the God of the Bible, who created the whole universe and who demands morals and ethics. It's a whole new type of God. We're not worshiping a star or a constellation. Lokchu es hanetzer nitov le'eleka alehem. Who did they take? They took the Netzer Nitov. He says they took the Christian, Yeshu HaNoitzri, who came from Nazareth. That's why it's Noitzri, from Nazareth in Hebrew, not Seretz. So they took him. Nitov is a disgraceful word. Le'eleka alehem, to appoint him as their Lord, as their deity, as their God. V'niskayim bekach esachicha tavoid gam be'inyan avodas helikus. And that's when the words of Yitzchak were fulfilled. When he told his son Esav, you're going to worship your brother. You're not only going to work for your brother, Mela. There's working for a brother. People do that all the time. But you're going to worship your brother. Your avodas ha'elokus. Your brother is going to become your deity. Somehow they felt this Jewish boy, regular Jewish kid, right? Just didn't have such a good relationship with his father wherever he was. So now he tells Esav, when you guys are going to look for somebody to really worship, when you're going to graduate paganism, and you're like, we need a real God, we need an integrated, holistic God who created the world, who are you going to look at? You're going to choose a Yiddish Engel, which is, of course, the greatest paradox of history. Christianity produced so much anti-Semitism. Not only Christianity, but Christianity produced so much anti-Semitism. And yet, who do they respect most? Who do they adore? Who do they talk to all day? Who do they believe in? Who do they worship? Just another Jewish kid. So here comes his revolutionary statement. What, I'm saying this maybe a little too bluntly, but that's what he's saying, so I'm going to say it bluntly. What Christianity said about one Jew, when true reality emerges, is really the truth about every Jew. It needs explanation, it needs perspective, we're going to get there. But that's the revolutionary statement. V'gam hanochrim yavdum ke'elikus. We're talking about when Mashiach comes. The whole world, the Gentile world, are going to serve them as godly. K'dei lahamshich mitzidam. In order to have a relationship with them, to draw from them. Ki yedu, they'll know she'ein kirvas elokim kiyim liyisrael. The closeness to Hashem goes through Yisrael. I was once learning this Gemara with somebody. He says, "Oh, so you also believe in two gods like the other religions?" I said, "No, you're missing the whole point." That's Avodah Zarah. That was the great Jewish problem with one of the problems with Christianity. Some others, but that too. There's an argument in Rishonim if for non-Jews Christianity is Avodah Zarah or not, because non-Jews are also not allowed to do Avodah Zarah. The question is shittuf, when there's a trinity, when there's a partnership, Hashem working with others, are they allowed to believe in it? Many say that for them it's good, but for Jews not. The Rambam says in Hilchis Malachim in the Laws of Kings chapter 11, the Rambam says something fascinating. He says, we don't know the mysteries of how history evolves, but he says the two religions of Christianity and Islam were a preparation, he says, I quote, Liyasher derech lemelech HaMashiach. It was paving the road to Mashiach, the Rambam says. Why? Because they brought monotheism into the whole world. Till Christianity, most of the world was pagan. Christianity introduced the Judaic ethic of one God, with its own interpretations of what that means, the Trinity, with ethics that there are morals, 10 Commandments, all the stuff that they brought in, and many of them, the Rambam says, were great. So even though he says there was blood and war and violence and torture, but the consciousness, he says, of emunah in one God was introduced. And Mashiach will finally repair it and correct it, and the whole world will become one.